aspect. So you can be a physicist, statistician too, right? If it's what you like. A physician takes a little bit of knowledge in basic principles of economics, how to run model, but if you're a statistician, it's going to be easy for you to become an economist. And like I mentioned in the beginning, support instruments and other financial, I think that's what you're going to do in your lecture, needing a lot of modeling to understand their customer base and the different risk. There's a lot to do with that, but you have the tools. Don't worry, it's going to be easy for you. Just address the challenge. But then there's this, I put it in red, right? Because it's just my opinion, right? So someone might not agree with that, but I believe nowadays data scientists is the sexy job, right? There's a huge demand out there for people who can play with data, for people who have statistical knowledge and mathematical knowledge to actually help solve the difficult problems. And usually, if you are able to combine all those sort of hybrid characteristics, you will become like a very scared person. I mean, people will be looking at you and they will pay you very big money because you will be the problem solver in the company. But at the same time, it's important to remember that, I mean, this is just to motivate why data science is important. But I think I wanted to emphasize this my last slide. It's really, you need to be happy to build and creating. So you need creativity and communication skills to be a good statistician or a good data scientist. Once you deliver your model, when you have your equation done, when you simulate the data, you need to communicate to the policymaker. What is the message? What is it that you have learned from all the maths and stuff that you were doing on paper and in the computer? So, I mean, which scale is more important? I think it's this one. Because this, you have been doing that for 10 years. You know how to deliver model, you know how to use code that are ready to how do you communicate that? How to prepare PowerPoint so that the vice president of your corporation or your director will be happy and say, okay, this is really what I want. I have a problem. You go in your office, you do all the math, all the derivation, you use the computer, but at the end, what is the message, right? I think this is something you will need to work. And believe me, it's not always. Even I am still learning how to be more efficient on the way I'm communicating very simple results from complicated and difficult estimation, inference, but at the end of the day, you need to communicate. So this is something you have to work on as individual because there's no market out there to tell you how to present like a probabilistic model simply, to a simple, think about how can I explain my grammar, my thesis? How can I make sure my grammar can understand what I'm doing with all those math blockchain or all the probabilistic model? That's how you become a better person. Talk to your kid about what you're doing, if you have, or your siblings, trying to make it simple. That's how you grow in terms of improving your communication skills. Yeah, so those are the two things I wanted to share with you. I don't think I have any other slide in terms of us, you know what it is. So you can work everywhere as a statistician. It's more about you need an entry course to understand what is finance, but it's not difficult. You just read book and then you have the tools to apply your analysis into the finance thing. You want to do environment, fine. You just need to learn what is environment, what are the key or the big question there. I have the tool to model all the environmental problem. I want to do, I don't know, marketing research, fine. I have the models, I have the tool. I just need to understand what is the plan, what is the problem, and then I go back to my statistical tools and say, okay, how can I model the behavior? How can I model how people make their decision in terms of access to credit or access to finance? Real estate, same. You need a lot of data, national and market research that come with modeling and also using a lot of computers experience. So this is wide range of area you can go. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, you really need to pick what you love because job is fun when you go in the morning and you're happy to go. If you have like difficult colleagues, you don't like the field change because you have the tool to work everywhere. The good news about mathematicians and statisticians, they can work everywhere, even in the astronomy, you can just go there, just need like 1 or 2 weeks or 1 month to understand the logic and the rest will be easy for you because you have this logical framework and critical thinking that here at the university, we were actually working on building that. So it's something that we don't sell in the market. You have to come and do your own work to become that proficient in terms of modeling and providing solutions. Same with data scientists. There's a wide range of opportunity. The only difference with statistics is that with the emergence of big data, I think data scientists are at the forefront of that now. But a statistician can easily become a data scientist because he has the backbone. He knows all the derivation, the model. You have many data scientists who don't have a theoretical background. They just learn some software and they just learn how to use those big data. If you ask them to provide proof to your theorem, they don't know. They don't have time for that. The industry need them to use the different code they have developed to solve problems. But you guys have the tool, which means it's easy for you to code. It's easy for you to understand why you're coding. And if there's a bug, it's also easy for you to debug. But data scientists don't have those abilities. So I would encourage anyone who is interested in deep learning, machine learning, just take some certification. It will take you 3 months, 6 months, just to understand. There's a lot of free resources available out there. And once you have those two hard statistician and data scientists, there's no company who will hire you out because this is the future of decision making, either from industry or from the government. They need people who can play with data and synthesize information so that we can make very good and efficient decisions to the good of our countries or to the good of the company. I'm going to stop here, but like I said, I'm happy to discuss. We have a variety of students here. Some are close to graduate, others will take a year or two. So I'm happy to answer any question to the best of my knowledge that will allow you to be more efficient when you get to the market, and also happy to share my experience if you have any questions. So please don't be shy. Let's make it a conversational discussion where there is no taboo. I'm happy to answer anything, and everything I'll be saying is my opinion, not from my company. So over back to you. This check the vice VP or new VP. So we need someone who can actually moderate the session so that we have good discussion. And people online, feel free to ask questions to voice, so we can take your question either from the chat or you can also voice it.
All right, thank you very much. And so the floor is technically open for questions because I actually wanted him to have this as a discussion instead of just flushing information at us, you know, because it's not a lecture. No. So you guys, some of you guys have questions that they want to talk about, and we, some of the faculty members that are here, can discuss together with him and talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. So to begin, so that everybody really feels that this thing is really simple, I would be the first to ask the question. So in your experience, Dr. Bougna, what do you think? All these conditions that we put on models in our lectures, how often do you have to check them in your work? Do you actually check them at all?
That's a very difficult question. So I have to ask my boss, right? Because he's the one basing what I'm doing right now. But more seriously, of course, you have to check, because reputation is something that is very important when it comes to job. If you manage to establish a good reputation of someone who delivers good and high quality job, it would always follow you. If you change 10 companies, when they're going to ask for a reference, they will always say, this guy is known for high quality standard. And why? Because he checked. So it's very important. There are many code out there. You can use it, but always make sure it's actually sound and of good quality. So you have to be rigorous as a professional to market yourself. Your brand is actually the way you do things. Are you taking time to go back on professor theorem and math to make sure, okay, this might be like a well-cooked solution, but let me take 1 day or 2 days just to make sure there's no error and this is actually converging. That's how you establish yourself as someone who is rigorous and someone who can do the check to make sure that the final product is of high quality and good standard. So yeah, we do that, but we don't have the luxury of spending 1 week of checking a formula. If it's complicated, we know that we have academia for that, so we can actually always hire academia. Even at the bank, there's a lot of consultants where when it's complicated model, they will just outsource it because they want you to keep the focus on what is the business here. If it's complicated, you just write to your boss, you know what, I can do this, but it will take me 3 months or 6 months because I have to be full time. He will say, do you know someone? Yeah, I have my professor who can do that. Send me an email. Can you do this for us? We'll pay. So, of course, it's very important to cross-check and make sure everything you're producing is high quality and yeah.
Thank you very much. Also, from that answer, what I want to bring your attention on is that he basically say that you are your own personal marketer and PR agent. And that's something very important to know.
Yeah.
Because if you are not doing well at work, even if you are getting that salary, then the day you have a problem, they're probably going to be the end for you. Because if you go looking for a second job, they will ask you for references. You would want to go to your former employer to get a letter of reference. And you know that you were sacked. So you probably know what he's going to tell the person that is trying to hire you. So keep good relationships at work, do the right thing. Don't just spend time at work, walk at work.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this talk, because it was very encouraging to see all the opportunities that we have and the ability to move around. Like sometimes it feels like after graduation you're locked in, but that you should do some things. But I wanted to ask about, like, on your own journey, what was the hardest job, whether it be finding the undergrad or grad, or you said you went, where did you, to Canada and the US? Was it a certain job or a promotion? Like, what was the hardest thing that you feel like once you got there, like, I know what I'm doing here now?
Yeah, it's a tough question though, because
Or any advice to give us?
Yeah, no, of course, no. I will answer the question. I just say it's tough because I don't really know if they were a breaking point for me, right? So when I graduated, my goal was to become a university professor. So that's my dream job, and it's still my dream job. I believe in academia you have the freedom, especially when you have a family. Even, I mean, we have to profit and we can think compared to the industry where you have a demand. You travel a lot, there's a lot of pressure, you can work over the weekend. I think when you're a tenure professor, you have some flexibility because you do what you want in terms of research. So you do something that you like, you're not forced to run models for someone that actually you're on board. Of course, you have academic standard in terms of having a tenure, but as soon as you have that, you have more freedom of picking with which student I would like to work with. If I don't like it, I'm not going to work with them. So even though the university requires me to actually have students, but I have the luxury to pick which student, but in the industry, you don't have that, right? So you actually forced to go with people that may actually have different thinking or different ways of thinking than you, but you have to make it work. So to me, what changes at some point, I had to do something that is more practical. That's why I moved from pure and then from statistics I went to economics. And look, I would say today I love my job because of what my company do, which is to fighting and trying to end poverty around the world. So this is my drive. If you ask me every morning, why am I doing it? Because I believe that one day the world will actually be free of poverty. It's ideally a little bit, but I think we're getting there. If you look at back 50 years, I think we have made some progress. There are some contexts where it's more difficult because of political working actually on institutions. So there's a lot to do, but at least as an individual, you contribute to that. I think that's what should be your drive. When you wake up in the morning, you like continue to doing the model, if not change and go where you feel like this is what I want to do. It's very important to have the drive because as a professional, that's what keep you awake and keep you intellectually stimulated. So, I mean, I don't know if I answer the question, but it's really a personal thing. There's no holistic solution. It's more about listening to you, listen to your brain, your body, what you want to do. It's very important to be happy about. If you don't like it, find your big option. And one thing I learned also from my mentor is, even though you have this job, always use this job actually to prepare your next job opportunity. So while you're working, your patient will be, okay, where do I want to be? This is just a step. Okay. And here in this step, what can I learn that will actually get me closer to that aspirational goal? So, yeah, we have Matthias and then.
Thank you for your presentation. I have this. Suppose you have a task you have performed. Like for instance, if you say administer in somewhere in Morocco and something for them. So suppose you have this model and you don't get really good output. So what do you do in case you are the timeline is not done? You don't get the result within the timeline. Do you ever draw model or some tasks and say they are important or you?
I mean, I would start with it's okay to fail, right? In life or in your job. Right? They don't expect you to have the solution of everything, but you have to be honest, right? As soon as you have a task, you need to have a candid evaluation whether this is doable, because like I said, in industry, people don't have time. Time is the less thing they have because they are completely with company globally, so they don't have time to work. So it would be a pity for your boss to give you a month to complete the task just to come and say, oh, it didn't work. But if you establish a routine by every week or every 2 days, I will keep you posted about my progress. So before you get into the failed solution, he knew already there were problems, right? So at the end of the process, what matters is what did you learn from that failed model? What did you learn from that thing that didn't work? Okay. How can we do better? Is it because it is out of capacity? Then do we have resources out there? Talk to your boss and say, look, I can't do this because I need X and Y or Z skills that I don't have, but I know someone who can do that. Then the company will outsource the problem. So it is not a problem to fail. It is not a problem to not have a solution to a problem, but it's your role actually to do the critical thinking and propose solution, even if the solution is not in-house, the company can still outsource if it's important for their decisions. So communication is important. Don't just go in bunker and stay there, do your stuff and come back, oh, my God, it didn't work. No, that one.
After 1 month.
And you actually destroy your reputation. So make sure to communicate. Make sure your line manager know exactly what you're doing every week if possible. Just send him an email, oh, I'm working on this. These are the challenges, but I'm trying to solve them. So he knows already that it's a difficult thing. So at the end, if you come up after 4 weeks and say, okay, I don't have the solution, but I think X, Y, or Z company can actually solve that because this is how, this is the type of resources that they have used to solve it, but we don't have that yet. So we need to outsource.
Where to find the
We have clarification, then I will.
Yes,
Yeah.
So, as researchers or PhD students, we know, like we just get guidance from the professors that if you want to go for a postdoc at the PhD or for like to have that position, then we have to build our CV like that. We have to be very strong in research and this and that. But what would you suggest that how building my CV as an industry job seeker would be different from building my CV as a researcher in academia?
That's a good question. And I mean, before answering the question, as a PhD student, it's important to shoot for publication because that's the signal when you're in the job market that this guy is doing serious things that have been peer reviewed and accepted by peers, right? So that's something definitely. If I have 2 students applying for a job, they're in the same university, one with one publication, or even like a revising the summit, it's already a sign, a signal that this is someone who can do research and good research. So from day one, we have to have that mindset. At the end of the day, I will need to showcase what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years in academia. And publication is one of those elements that universities are looking at. So if you graduate with that, it's important. So many people have prospects. So I have working paper, they're not polishing. So that's why postdoc is an opportunity. I'm ready, but I'm not quite ready. I think I need 1 or 2 more years to polish my paper and send them out so that when I'm coming back to the market, I'm actually more solid and more rounded actually to land on academic job. So postdoc is good, but it's really depend on how you manage your PhD years, right? It's not a necessary condition. I mean, it's not a sufficient, but it's a necessary condition. I would say today there are even more universities that are actually working that. So they hire you as an assistant, but conditional you doing 1 or 2 postdoc year because they know you only have 5 years to have your tenure. So you need to actually make sure those working paper are actually ready to be published. So you're actually gaining 2 years to polish your work because during your PhD year you didn't have enough time to polish that. But overall, I don't think there's a standard solution. We have a good professor that didn't do postdoc. We have others that actually were good because they spent an extra year working with a different advisor to polish and complete their papers.
So where to find these job advertisements?
Yeah, that's a good question. Where to find? I would say internet, but internet is not a good solution. You know where you want to work in terms of if I'm in the banking sector, I think most banks have a platform where they land it. She's an economist. In economics, we're a little bit more organized because we have every year the American Economic Association conference. That's how I got my job. So every year as a PhD student, in your last year, you know, my last year dedicated to my job market paper. So you start from now to prepare your website, your CV, motivation letter, teaching statement, everything that would be needed by university. You prepare that, and then when you come to August, September, there's a website where all offers are open, and all economic students globally, China, Australia, Europe, they are competing for the same job. So you have to be very competitive, and you really have to plan yourself. Universities like MIT, Harvard, they do preparation for their students. So from May until July, they have intense seminar on how to do the CV, how to prepare your website, what to put there, how to do the pro picture, everything matters because the recruiter are actually looking for professional and strong students at the end of the day. So yeah, for economics is there. I think you also have the Statistical Association, same format. So those conferences usually, if you're a member, they will be sending you job offers. Now for the industry, I think you can use Google or Glassdoor. There's a lot of job type of website where you can see job in the US. If you're interested in working for the government, also it's possible to look at governmental agency where they are posting jobs. But you have to be proactive. And looking for a job is, I mean, it's a full-time job to look for a job. So you need to spend every day, make sure you send like 10 or 15 applications. So you need to have applications that are ready for academia and those that are ready for industry. So you need to really work hard to make sure that I will just change the name of the company, the message and the motivation is the same, depending on whether I'm looking for an academia job or an industry job.
Yeah, also to add to what he was saying, you need to know that for each of the sectors that you're looking for a job in, you need to have an appropriate letter. You need to have, you don't just have to write one letter that you just change companies on, okay? If you're looking for a job at a hospital, it's not the same as if you're looking for a job at a university. And then somebody takes your letter and in the first line, he's seeing how you love treating patients and you're sending that to a university. So people do that. We see a lot of that. So you need to be very careful with the things that you show the people that you're serious. Perhaps before sending your application to an organization, go to their website, see what they are doing, look at the people that they are working there, what they are doing. Even comment on some of the things that you saw on their website.
Yeah.
Right? Show interest in them. They will see that, they will take that into account while reviewing their applications. They say, hey, this guy actually he knows this thing. But don't lie, because also if you're lying, that might catch up on your interview when you come in and they just randomly ask you a question on something that you wrote and you have no clue.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta be serious, look for the information and be honest about what you know.
So one thing to add here, which is important, is networking. It's very important as a PhD student or even master to network. And the best way of networking is through conference. When you go to a conference, you have the program, you look at the different professors, if someone is doing something that is related to your research, make sure you talk to him. Talk to him because down the road in 2 or 3 years, he will be in the panel with the PhD student. And because he knows you, at least you will get an interview. Right? Seek for collaboration. I think professor would encourage you to work with as many people as long as you're focused on what matters, but you have space actually to do cross collaboration through those conferences and networks. It doesn't have to be true conference. You can even reach out to a random university professor somewhere in another state and say, oh, I'm also working on Markov chain, for example, and this is the problem I'm having. And I saw your paper, I read it, it's nice. This is what I thought we could actually do in terms of extension. That's how you build a network.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So my question is,
Can you speak a bit loud because we have people on?
so what is the process hiring mathematician and statistics, particularly for the writing of one?
Look,
And how many percent is basically from mathematics or statistics people are joining before?
I mean, statistician and mathematics, this is a big trend stream in the bank. We have many people because, you know, one of our core business is measuring poverty. And to measure poverty, we need to, the role is really from the design stage, sampling strategy, methodology, those are the guys at the forefront of that. I'm trained as a statistician, so at the bank, yeah, at least I would say out of 100, we can have a minimum 20% of the bank that are statistician because this is one of our core business things. So we do poverty over in South Asia, in Africa, in MENA, and even in Europe. So we measure, we compute poverty, and we provide statistics. So every year, I would say every 3 months, you have a position open as a statistician at the bank. Sometimes it's statistician/economist, but really what we are looking at is someone who is good at designing and implementing survey, household survey or business survey, just to measure poverty or to measure the overall economic activities. So the process is usually simple. There is an application open, and the way you structure your CV, the way you demonstrate that you can actually do the job, the way you demonstrate that you have the skills in terms of software, in terms of theoretical knowledge, will actually allow you to have an interview, and the rest is depending on which Singapore. If you're actually competing with people that are average than you will have a better chance to have a job. But I think interview is also something that matters, especially for the bank or for any company, because the people that are interviewing have their mindset, they have the company mindset, and they want someone who can relate to that. So that's why it's important to do your own research to understand what is the goal of this and what are they doing on day-to-day basis. Go to the website so that when you come to the interview, you're actually ready to start your job. So use the word they're using, click to the different box and ask without saying, oh, I can do this. Just say, oh, I have experience doing this, right? And you say, oh, we are actually looking for that. So interview is important. And one way to actually succeed in an interview is to do mock interview. Many people don't do mock interview, and I can tell you, mock interview guarantees the success in an interview. The mock is really, I have the job description, I prepare my own question based on the job description, and I ask some of my friends, oh, I have this interview with Amazon, can you help me with one or two interviews? So you come the first time, not that good, fine. Just do another one interview, you go back, you're reading, and then you go back to it. So usually for every interview, make sure you do 2 or 3 mock interviews. And the more you do, the better you will feel like, okay, I'm ready, and I'm prepared, especially for the bank. For us, if you don't prepare, there's no chance you will actually have the job, because I've seen many people in finance who came unprepared. They just look at the job interview. Oh, they're looking for someone with a degree in statistics. I have it. I can do that, and you just come. They ask you random question. Why do you think you're the best candidate? And the guy cannot do service because he didn't prepare. Yeah, everything, but you need to prepare your narrative. You need to prepare how to sell yourself, how to bring all your experience so that it relates to the job description and the recruiter click. So mock interview, think about it and do it for every single job that you have been for.
So I have another question. So what is the difference between the government and others industrial
organization. Like we know World Bank is the one of the big organizations in the whole world. So what is the difference if someone chooses World Bank, like you can consider specific or other things, World Bank and others?
Look, I mean, in terms of the statistical role, there's no difference because your job is to play with data and inform for them. If you're at the bank, the NGO, everywhere, your role would be play with data set and provide nice graph, and sharp. Okay, this is the problem we have, this is the solution. That's the first thing. So there's no difference. Statistician job is the same everywhere. It's about using model and statistics to solve problems. Same with the data scientists. They are using big data set compared to statistics with what goal? Solving problems. So you are the problem solver in a company. And no matter which company it is, they will need someone who can do that, right? So for the bank, then it depends on which group you're working, right? So I'm working on transport. So you're more likely to see people that use data on mobility, data on content, right? If you are in poverty, you actually see people very accustomed to working with household survey, business centers, right? If you're doing education, those are the people working with schools. So it will be statistic about education, about completion rate, those kind of things. It's really about using your modeling skills to solve problems and inform the policy. So there's no difference per se in terms of the job. What matters is the type of data you're using. In the industry, they'll be using information about their customers, while the bank will be using information about countries, people.
So how about the job section? You can automate it other.
Really? So you expect me to tell you where it's better to know? It's really you will decide what you want to do.
Because for me, actually, I love government because they use organization all over the world. So getting a job or doing a job like this one is really amazing. But I'm trying to see what is the job satisfaction between World Bank or maybe others. Maybe Facebook or Meta or Google.
Ahmed, I'm guessing that he is trying as much as possible to let you just understand that the job is a job wherever you find it, and you shouldn't be comparing companies. And coming from him, it would not look good if he is. Whether he tells you it is World Bank that is better or not, it's going to be a problem. Okay, if he tells you that it is good, it's like PR for his company. If he tells you that it is bad, it's like downplaying the role of his company for that is paying him to be here. So,
Yeah. So that's the candid and diplomatic answer.
Right.
But bottom line, if you believe you love solving problems, and she's from Pakistan, so she knows what is happening in our country, and she's doing things on institution. That's why she picked up PhD research, right? Those are the things we like at the bank, right? Someone who can actually help solve difficult problems in those difficult countries. But Amazon, Facebook, they have different problems, right? So it's then for them, it's the customer base. They need to know in that neighborhood who is rich, who is poor, how can I customize my product to make sure I can actually have a customer for the different brand or different products I'm selling. So it's more about you, right? If you are more into this kind of thing, then go for Amazon, go for Facebook. If you're about fighting poverty, thinking about economic growth, the World Bank is the place you should apply. So it's a personal decision, right? There's no bad and there's no good company, but there are companies that actually match with your aspiration as an individual. We have a question here.
No question. I just want to ask something in person's question. Like as an international student, I heard that World Bank visa policies are something like if you are having job with World Bank, you cannot apply for green card. I am not sure. Like I heard that is as soon as you are applying the World Bank, I think maybe
No, that's next year. We have Americans that work for the bank.
Yeah, that is.
Okay, as an international, if you get the bank, you have what we call a G problem. A kind of diplomatic without being, but that doesn't prevent you to do your permanent residency process. But
Okay.
as long as you become permanent resident, you inform the HR and they will change the status in your.
Okay, okay.
So there's no, they will never ask you at the interview. It's at the end of the interview when they are happy to hire you. That are you allowed to work in the US? Are you, those questions come later.
Okay.
It's more about competence first and then you can do stuff later.
So even on G4 visa, one can find her green card and.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but G4 visa working for the bank, you can only work for the bank.
Okay.
But if you are like a permanent resident, you can do many jobs as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but international, you are actually bound to your visa restriction. I think we have. question here.
As an implementation, but it's not like the grounding format, like it's statistics, average of the opportunities in the industry. Like I have done it's not minor, but I'm not doing research in statistics. So are there any opportunities in the
Can you stand back? So my question can, really, statistics as mine.
Yeah.
I know if you have any problem.
Yes.
Of course, I mean, as long as we do statistics and you can actually sell it in your feeling, you're good. And what matters not doing the main measure or minor, about what can you do? Because and in industry, they really want you to be effective on day one.
Yeah.
Can you play with data? That's what matters. Can you actually use the data, synthesize and provide
Yeah.
that?
Let me use that answer to comment on one thing again. For all of those who are doing a PhD, what matters in the end is not that PhD that you're going to write next to your name when you're going to industry. What matters is what you can do. Because if you're hired and you can't do anything, you'll be sacked. Okay?
So the degree.
It's very important.
The position value, but then we have the intrinsic value. I have this cost, what can I do? Intrinsic value is not matter, especially in the US. But in Europe, it's really different because it's a culture of degrees, right? Here's the degree, so we assume that you can do it, but here's the issue. On day one, they will ask you to code something because you stay inside. On day one, they will ask you to produce a map for a graph because you stay. You know how to,
right? And that's why I always say, please, as PhD students, learn as much as you can. Don't think that all that matters is your dissertation. Your dissertation is for you and your advisor. But when you get out there to look for a job, they are looking for skills. And you need to learn as much as you can before you graduate. After that, nobody is going to teach you anything. You're going to have to do it.
Yeah, in World Bank, without like a statistic, that then looks to be mathematician.
Yeah, I mean, the World Bank is one of these kind of fantastic organizations where we have just think about any profession in the world. We have medical doctors, we have engineers, we have architects, we have people doing mining, we have all professions in the world. So there's no, you have lawyers, what else? We have editors, we have translators, we have all possible professions that you can imagine in the world. We have
It's the ability to speak the second language fluently or necessity.
All our job application is in English, the work and those Spanish. You actually have a comparative advantage working in Latin America. If you can do French, you have a comparative advantage working in French speaking countries. If you can speak Mandarin, then in Asia, you have actually a comparative advantage to compare to someone who can speak. South Asia too, knowing the local language is also very important. And the bank now is trying to decentralize, so there's a lot of local positions that are open, and you can't really work. I mean, I'm working in Bangladesh, but every time I'm going to Bangladesh, there are some meetings where I'm just sitting there and hoping that someone will contact me because all the conversation I was Bangladesh. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. I think we have 8 minutes of the visa. If we continue, then we might not have time to do the visa, but I have a class with 8 minutes.
So I would ask us to please allow the speaker to continue answering if we can, but we can engage with the chat or whatever is right here on this side.
Bring the speaker to the 1810, so
Yeah, you.
you don't need it to the pizza, we have the baker.
Oops, I didn't say that. I didn't say it. I was waiting for that. I didn't say. Yeah.